Welcome to LinkedIn Sites. I'm Geoffrey Klein, and I am super excited with my guest today because he has even more energy than I have been able to show. I've seen him speak, I've seen him just in person. He's an amazing ball of energy, and I'm really excited for everyone to get to know him. So, welcome, Ramon.
Geoffrey, thanks for having me. It's good to be here. And thanks. It's an honor that you feel I have some value to add to your LinkedIn Insights community. So I appreciate it very, very much. And thank you for all the brilliance you bring to the world. Thank you.
See, already he's just that kind of guy. All right, well, we're gonna go jump into some questions. So we'll start with I didn't give you an intro because I thought you could do it yourself. So who are you and
Sure.
what do you do?
Yeah. So I'm a father and a husband. I have two adult children, and I love making the world a better place. That's really what I'm honing in on as I am 50 this year and have 40 or 50 more years of life on this earth. So I just want to leave it better than I found it. But as far as business is concerned, I've started five small businesses and I've sold three of them. Recently was my previous company that I sold just a few days ago, it seems, as we do this interview, smarthustle.com, and I've recently started zoneofgenius.com. So I've started five companies, sold three companies, author of several books. Latest one is Celebrity CEO, and that's all about how we can build our personal brands. Yeah, and I think I'll stop there, but that's who I am. I live on the East Coast of
Yeah,
the
that's
USA.
a lot. um, I like to always think about in terms of and I think you're oriented this way too. We serve people. That's how
Yes.
successful business people. It's how we help people. So what is the zoneofgenius.com? What problem is that solving for people?
Yeah. A friend of mine, Geoffrey, was playing bass guitar, leading a choir, and listening to music at the same time. And I looked at him and I'm like, oh, this guy, his name is Joel, is in his zone of genius. And then I'm frequently on Clubhouse. Some may know the social
Hmm.
audio app, a room called Breakfast with Champions. And many of the speakers
Great
there,
room.
Mike Zeller, Danelle Delgado, yes, indeed, talk about zone of genius, zone of genius. I'm sure you've said that word at least once in the past 7 days. And I figured, let me see if the domain is free. And so part of my zone of genius is building online communities and companies, not billion-dollar things like Netflix. But, as I said, I've started five companies and three of them have been tech companies. Smallbiztechnology.com, I sold that in 2019. Then smarthustle.com, started it in 2015, sold it 7 years later. And then zoneofgenius.com. So I started it to help people live life fulfilled. And if I can provide content that does that, I'll be happy. And people may say, Ramon, well, there's a lot of content like that. For sure. Huffington Post is great. Thrive Global rather is great. And Mind Valley app and many in this space, Tony Robbins, Oprah Winfrey. But I'm me. So I can build a company in my field, helping people live a fulfilled life.
There's something that I share with you that I really liked when I was reading a little bit just about how you present
Mhm.
yourself, which was unapologetically positive.
Yes.
And I might steal that. But the
Please.
reason I love it is because, I always say to people, there's enough negativity in the world. Like, I just want to
Yes.
contribute positively. And that's your energy. And every time I've seen you, that's always how you are, both, when you're on stage or just talking to people. And I love that. I think it's powerful that you're now taking that and bringing it to kind of content.
Yes.
Um, and so, who's kind of the ideal person to come and go to zoneofgenius.com to get the value from that? Who are you looking to
Sure.
kind of help?
Yeah. Her name is Jasmine. She's 32 years old. And she works a corporate job, and or she's an entrepreneur, but honing it in very narrowly. She works in a corporate job. Relatively, Geoffrey, she's happy. She has had a bit of trauma in her life, like I found many people. Could be abuse, could be her mother or dad calling her fat, could be severe bullying, whatever. But she's getting out of it. And so she's constantly looking for ways to be better. She knows she needs to heal a bit for things. She's probably healthy and fit, but she's looking to be better. I hope in the future to help people who are still jacked up, who wake up with a pillow over their head and are miserable. But for today, could be people like Ramon and Geoffrey. We're okay based on what I
Hmm.
know of you. We're good, but I'm sure we cry a bit. We think of things that happened 30 years ago, 40 years ago, or dang, I shouldn't have cursed out my kid, today. Let me apologize. So if that's helpful, a person who's well-rounded, but knows they need to continue to be better. And she volunteers, by the way. Jasmine also volunteers. So the person we're targeting is that type of person. When I think and I close my eyes, it's Jasmine. And she's overall living a pretty good life, Geoffrey, but she's constantly seeking, let me scroll through, let me find communities, let me talk to a therapist maybe who I can be just a bit better.
Well, I love that, and you've just given sort of a mini masterclass on what a customer avatar looks like. So for all those people who are like, yeah, we need to identify who are customers. Ramon, you just did a great job of sharing what that looks like, and people, so thank you for that, because I think that's really helpful to people to know when someone says who your ideal customer, and I hate the answer, everybody. You've done the opposite, which is you got to tell people exactly now, because there's plenty of Jasmines out there who need what you're serving. I'm going to shift a little bit and talk about. I'm a big fan of business books and business podcasts, and I'm curious if you could name either a book or a podcast that you think is kind of worthy of your time.
Yeah, I mean, my bookshelf, I'm tempted to shift my camera and pull my top 10 books out here. But as far as podcasts, I like a lot of podcasts. I think 2 I'll give a shout out for, if I may. Well, 3. Can I give 3, Jeffrey? Is that allowed on Jeffrey's podcast?
You may give 3. I'll allow it. I'll allow it.
It's breaking news. Everybody else, Jeffrey stopped them and said, no, you can only give 1. But here today, Jeffrey's allowed Ramon Ray to give 3. This is monumental. It would be Dave Ramsey's Entree Leadership. I listened to a year or 2 worth of that podcast in probably half a year. I consumed it about 3 years ago, maybe 2 years ago, thanks to the pandemic, I guess, and relearned so many business lessons. And that was recently, Jeffrey. You and I are relatively smart guys. We're not, 20 years old, but we all need to learn. So that's one. Dave Ramsey's
referencing my gray hair here.
Dave Ramsey's Entree Leadership Podcast. Awesome. Number 2, my friend Lauren Feldman's podcast, 21 Hats Podcast. If you're hearing my voice, please tag Lauren Feldman, telling him I'm mentioning him right now. So that's Lauren Feldman's 21 Hats Podcast. And then lastly, as I think I'm part of a community on Clubhouse called Breakfast with Champions. We have live programming about 6 hours a day. It's great. So those are 3 podcasts. I'll mention 1 book, several of my top 10 books here, Marie Forleo's Everything is, Figure Outable. But I'll reference John Lee Dumas. He has a book called The Common Path to Uncommon Success. If you're looking for a nitty-gritty play-by-play book for content marketing, check out John Lee Dumas's recent book.
Awesome. Those are awesome. And I always joke about, I'm a big movie fan. I say I've got about 100 movies in my top 10. So I feel that same way about podcasts and books that, can I put more in? So that's why I didn't want to, curb any of that enthusiasm, because for me, I would be the same. It's hard to pick one of anything. When I ask people, I say, pick one of your favorite, because you can never fight. It's like having a favorite child.
That's right.
I'll tell you. So I have twin daughters, and when my daughters were babies, my dad said to me, I have a favorite. And I said, Dad, you can't do that. He said, my favorite is whichever one isn't crying. And I thought that was a great.
I like it.
So it's a shifting favorite.
The favorite's whichever one's not crying, and the one he gives attention to more is the one who is crying. Ironic, right?
It is ironic. So I'm a big brand guy. So can you name a brand that you kind of admire and why?
That's a great question. I like a few brands, but one brand I'll mention that's at the top of my head that I shave every Friday is Zoho. Zoho's maker of 40 different applications, and I don't get any money from this for saying that, but they're just one brand, I guess, because I just came from their user conference. But I think Zoho is just a freakingly cool company. Their CEO, Sridhar, I probably pronounced it wrong, is just, I never know, is he an economist, a philosopher, a Oprah type guy, or an amazing SaaS business leader? So I think Sridhar and his deputy, as it were, is Raju. So Zoho, I think we think of them outwardly as a tech company, but the reason I'm mentioning, not because of the apps and tools, but just knowing a bit about their inside, how they work, I'm impressed. So that's one company.
Yeah. And it's interesting that you refer to the brand that you admire isn't about necessarily their product or service, but about their culture. It's about how, and I think more and more we're looking for that in brands, not just what it can do, but what is it, what's their purpose, what's, what do they care about, and things. It's just continues to be important for people.
And one other thing, let me add to, Jeffrey, I must say about them as well, which I guess I like, is that the aspect of, they kept saying, I was at their last meeting, they kept talking about failure. We love failure, not failure for their customers. No, not failing of servers, but like, okay, we can put $1 in this and lose that money a few times because we know we can build this into $100 if you get the metaphor thing. So that's one thing that I liked, that they were just, okay, Jeffrey, if you work for them, Jeffrey, let's try it. We're not sure how it's going to work, but let's try it.
Right.
And keep failing forward to learning from it. So that concept that they believe in it so focused really got me.
Yeah, you don't grow or learn if you don't fail.
Yes.
That's kind of, that's where the most growth and the most learning comes when you mess up, which I'm proud to say I do often. Um, so LinkedIn is a great platform. I meet lots of people on it. Can you name? I'm going to kind of put you on the spot here, but if you can think of one of your LinkedIn connections that you're glad you have in your connections.
Yeah, I think
And it
two.
can't be
Well,
me.
now, see, I'm getting ready to push them. I was going to say 2 or 3 or 10, but let me stop. I have to give a shout out, and I hope those, if you're listening and you know her, please tag her in this.
I will.
Christina Shaw is the owner of an insurance company in, it's like, Geoffrey, anything that's outside of New York City directly, we consider that in the boondocks, upstate New York. We consider it in farm country. I forgot where it is. One of those places that are outside of New York City directly. What's up, John Duffin? So Christina Shaw, who I met through Adrian Miller. I snuck a second one in. Christina Shaw, her posts are so uplifting, powerful, exciting, how she's building her company, building her team. And she's in insurance, but she rarely talks directly like insurance. It's just about living a great life and helping people. And she happens to sell great insurance for your home or car. So Christina Shaw.
And I love that description of people when it's not, you aren't just the sum of what you do. It's how you approach the world. And then I think that's true of you with these different companies you've set up. The Ramon energies in all of them. They have slightly different tweaks, but they're all, based on who you are and what you're trying to do. I'm a little obsessed. Anyone who knows me, between even a tiny bit, with the color purple. That's my favorite color for a variety of reasons. So, Ramon, what's your favorite color?
Blue, for sure. Blue, dark blue is kind of shirt I'm wearing. I didn't wear it because it's my favorite, but yeah, dark blue. I like blue.
Any particular reason, or just it's the one that feeds you?
Well, and I think actually blue and orange. You see, Geoffrey, it's hard for me to do things. I guess, yeah, but I think blue.
You can have your primary color and then your secondary colors.
Usually, as you may know a little bit, Geoffrey, my socks and things I like to pop. So, but I like blue because I think it's for me, it feels safe, it feels secure. Black and brown, great colors, but those are a bit black and brown. But blue's like just blue. It's that safe, secure. You can add stuff to it that makes it pop. You can add white to blue. You can add an orange to blue and have it sing. You can see, I don't think you see it in this angle, but a friend of mine, you can see the little sliver of a painting there from my friend Blue there. So yeah, I'm a blue guy. I think blue is just that nice, solid, golden retriever, German shepherd color. It's that.
So I always find it interesting because one of the most famous blue paintings is something called Klein blue. No relation to me. And all it is a huge canvas with blue on it. It's just but it's art. So I'm a fan of blue as well. And my daughters have blue eyes, so I think there's always special there. So I like to make animated videos for people. And so if I was going to make one for the zoneofgenius.com, what was the most important element you'd want people to remember about zoneofgenius.com in kind of an explainer video?
Oh, thank you for asking. I think that if you're going to be in your zone of genius, it's not about one thing, but I believe you have to have your personal health, your fitness dialed in to whatever you can do it, fitness and health. I think then after that, part of that is your mindset. I think part of that is your personal finances. Before that, then your family. And then if you're in business or not, career. So I think that if you want to live life fulfilled, which I believe is being in your zone of genius, what you do well and you're happy at, do well and you're happy at doing. It's a combination of balance of those things. That's kind of, if I had an explainer video, I can hear some little girl or little guy. Hi, my name is Jeremy. Do you want? That doesn't fit. I'll leave that to the professionals. That's you, Geoffrey, who does explainer video.
Well, we could hire John Duffin, who he might not be a little kid, but he's an amazing voiceover artist.
Okay.
Joel, who's here, a good friend of mine, said he heard the Zone of Genius and wondered he heard about that from book The Big Leap. Are you familiar with that? Is there any connection?
Yes, I have it right behind me. Gay Hendricks, yes.
And was that part of what ended up having the name Zone of Genius, or is that more the Clubhouse?
Yeah, more Clubhouse and other people mentioning it. But yes, after I got the domain name, I started researching and realized, I didn't make it up. In fact, I'll just pull back here. Thanks, John. Is that I think to give credit, I think Laura Garnett She's the like she has definitely find your zone of genius, and then of course as John hinted out, yeah, of course, Gay Hendricks, I think it is. Yeah, The Genius Zone or other books like that for sure, John. So thank you for letting me acknowledge them. But no, I didn't get it from them. I only came to them after I, but you know, did it. But I'm sure they have tons of IP on Zone of Genius. But
Yeah,
I'm going to build a media company around it.
And the domain, they didn't get the domain, so you know they should have done something about that. All right,
That's right.
finally, Ramon.
Finally,
again,
what? We're almost done.
We're almost done here. This is supposed to be, you know, we pack in. I can talk to you for hours, but sometimes,
Yes,
you
sir.
know, you're a busy man. You got to go, you know, hustle,
Yes.
the smart hustle with your zone of genius, so you don't have time.
That's right.
So I create animated videos for people, and so I
Yes.
always like to ask, you know, there are lots of animated characters in the history of animation, from Mickey Mouse, you know, to Luxor Jr. Can you name one of your favorite animated characters?
Wow, that's a great question. That's a great question. How can I pick Popeye? You know, Popeye was a faulty guy, faulty, didn't get the spinach in time, as I recall, didn't listen to like the lady in his life, flubbed and made mistakes. Thank you very much. But yet, he don't count him out. He was the Rocky of animation. Is that okay? I'm
love
talking
it.
about the animation genius. Is that okay?
Yeah, I used to watch a lot of his animations and Brutus, and I liked it because Brutus was the big, you know, kind of bully type, and so Popeye ended up being kind of the underdog, and so you gotta love it, as you said, the Rocky of animation, and me being from Philly, you gotta always root for the underdog. Well, Ramon, we could talk for so long, and I know we'll carry on conversations beyond, but I want to say thank you for being an awesome guest and for just being an awesome human being, because you know every interaction I have with you is fun, and I think again there's nothing wrong with having fun in life, and you know your whole concept of, you know, finding something you love to do and then be happy doing it is something that really resonates with me, and so I think it's a great message. And for all of you that are looking to get sort of positivity, check out Ramon, check out zoneofgenius.com, because it's going to have amazing content that's going to fulfill your life and make you feel full and energized and happy. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Geoffrey, so much for having me.
Thanks so much. And we'll speak soon. Take care.